Welcome back, folks, to another episode of Doubleheader with Mary Daniels and Keenan Costain. And well, you know what? This is going to be a bonus episode because in this one, midway point in the NFL season, I'm going to see who has surpassed expectations and who is disappointed but still has time to rectify their season. That's coming up. So like I said, folks, mid-season's here. We're, and we're going to see who surpassed our expectations, who hasn't lived up to them, but has time to get things going. So, any predictions, Keenan?
Well, first of all, this is pretty cool that we're doing this. Yeah. As for predictions, I have no idea. I haven't got the chance to have a little sneak peek behind the curtain, if you will. But without further ado, I'm excited. I hope everyone watching is excited for this. So without further ado, this is kind of like our little Grammys or our little awards, if you will.
Yeah, or in the case, the NFL honors.
Yep, that'll work. So without further ado, let's begin.
All right. Well, at the start every NFL season, there's expectations. Teams going to the Super Bowl, win the division, the MVP candidate, and by season's end, or in this case, midway point, media has surprises. And for me, or for you, both of us, I'll show you some pictures and see if you recognize any familiar faces and teams.
Um, let's see. Let me get my mic a little closer. Let's see. We got Josh Allen on the left. Jaden Daniels on the second picture. Sam Donald on the third picture. And I don't know who the fourth picture is. Let's see who else can I make out. Um, Green Bay is in there. Um, a lot of a lot of the other guys I cannot name. But hey, I was able to name the first three on the board.
Oh yeah, yeah, you got the first three names right in terms of the offense. So Josh Allen, he's been the MVP candidate basically since 2020. But this year, I say if this year he were to win it, it'd be this one because I'll read out the stats: 12 touchdown passes to only one interception at the halfway mark.
Very impressive, and like we said in our weekly picks prediction, which is basically a little bit of this. So this is the part two, I guess you could say. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, he's killing it right now, having leading the Bills to a 6-2 record, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yes.
Yep, as of this recording, 6-2. So I would not be surprised if Josh Allen puts up the numbers that he is in the first half of the season.
Oh, definitely. Because again, he's usually turnovers have been his bugaboo really since 2020. He had 18 interceptions last year, and he had eight at this time last year as well. But so far, only two turnovers, 12 touchdown passes, and all yeah, Bills sole possession in first place in the AFC. So hats off to him.
Yep, so a big improvement for Josh Allen for sure. Amir, you just read those numbers, 18 interceptions, and it's a night and day difference. From last year to this year at the time for sure. So props to him, and we got a lot of other guys to get through. So Amir, take it away.
Yep. Well, here's a name you also pointed out, Keenan, Sam Darnold. And going into this training camp, he wasn't even supposed to be the starter. That was supposed to be J.J. McCarthy, who they drafted back in April. But then McCartney tears his MCL. His season's over before it starts. Sam, takes advantage of the opportunity, and look where they are: 5-2, 14 touchdown passes, 5 interceptions. So, way to go, Sam.
Yeah, definitely. Sam Darnold, man. They started out really hot, winning their first six, if I'm not mistaken. And hey, but they're still looking pretty solid, despite losing a few games here and there. So Sam Donald, another MVP caliber player. came from Carolina not too long ago. Did some good things up in the Carolinas, and you know, it's saying, hey, I still got it. I still have what it takes. Sam Donald. I would love to see him do well for sure. Actually, all these players on screen for sure.
Definitely, yeah, 5-0 start. No, it's cooled off a little bit for the Vikings, but they still have time to right the ship. Either way, and Gnarl, hats off to you once again, and move on to our next player, Mr. Jaden Daniels. I mean, who would have thought he'd be not be 6-2 as a starter, but have the team in first, no, sole possession of first place in the NFC East.
Well, and think about this too. Think about this too, Amir. I did not expect to have Washington being being above 500. Period.
Me neither. And I know Washington, of course, has been during the Dan Snyder era were mediocre at best, but could not sell out. Had very poor home attendance, poor showing. At RG3 had his flashes, Kirk Cousins, and then they went through a period of success and turmoil with Ron Rivera, but ridership with Jaden Daniels and Coach blank on his name, Dan
Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn. There we go. So yeah, they done an excellent job there in Washington. And also, Jaden Daniels 7 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions. Not to mention the Hail Mary this past Sunday, and done great on the ground. And he's got 4 rushing touchdown passes and 4 rushing touchdowns. Excuse me. And like I said, sole possession in first place in the NFC East. I mean, who saw that coming in this season?
No, no, that's unbelievable. If I had to put the MIT, the most improved team for the NFL, it would be the Washington Commanders as of right now. But I'm really hoping for the Washington fans. They've had it rough the past decade, if not longer. Um, you know, quarterback changes, coaching changes, like you said, Amir, and I like it. I really do. I really hope we have a team that plays a spoiler and plays sleeper.
Yeah, and yeah, it's been a long time since they've had a franchise quarterback, and keep this guy healthy as well. I know he had the rib injury not too long ago, but yeah, you got something here in Washington, so build around him and keep winning as well.
Yeah, and we're hoping for good things from all 28 to 30 teams around the association, the NFL rather. But yeah, for Washington, I'm really happy for sure.
I am too. And then last but not least, it's been a quarterback, dominated category, but you also got to keep in mind receivers and running backs. And I had Jordan Mason as guy who surpassed expectations, and considering that he was not expected to be the starter to begin going into training camp, but then McCaffrey has an injury that kept on the sidelines, and he's took advantage of his opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. But opportunity comes a knocking. Gotta go for it, right? And as for Jordan Mason, he has delivered, and I don't know his stats in front of. I don't have his stats in front of me, but I bet Amir, you can elaborate.
Yes, I do. He has 685 yards rushing, 3 scores, and I know at one point he was in the top 5 in rushing. So that's another thing. I don't know if anyone had thought going into the season that he'd be in top 10, top 5 in terms of leading rushers. So hats up to Mr. Jordan Mason.
Yeah, so those are fantastic stats. Halfway through, and you love to see that. And yeah, I got nothing else.
Yep. So we're going to move on to the defense, and we're going to start up with Dexter Lawrence. I know this season for the Giants, per usual, has not lived to expectations, but Mr. Lawrence has had a great season, and who would have thought that it'd be him leading the NFL in sacks at the midway point?
Not me, despite their record wise. You know, You would think of Carolina, Baltimore, Cleveland, having top rated players on defense as well would be part of this conversation. But this guy right here, Amir, again, I don't have the stats in front of me. Feel free to explain to our listeners on Spotify and YouTube the stats.
Well, I did. Well, he has to received, but at the halfway mark, he has 9 sacks, which is also a career high. The most he's had prior to this was 7.5 from 2 years ago. The year they made the playoffs, and like I said, that 9 sacks is leads all pass rushers in the NFL.
All pass rushers. Wow.
Mm.
Um, so if you want to hit if you have them in your fantasy lineup, folks, um, be sure to insert him while you can because he can deflect passes. Coming his way.
Oh, definitely, and he's also got a Pro Bowl, and he, I he might be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. I know again the Giants have had a less than stellar season, but either way, congrats to Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah. So congrats to him. So we're on to our next category or next player rather.
Yep. Next is his former teammate in East Weatherford, Xavier McKinney, who signed with the Packers off season. And what has he done this first year in Green Bay? Lead NFL interceptions with 5.
Xavier McKinney, if I'm saying that right.
Yep, you got that right.
I heard a lot of good things about Xavier McKinney, especially on Red Zone. Heard of great things, great stats. Green Bay, it's been a little bit of a up and down year quarterback wise, but defensively, they they've gone to work. They got it done when they need it most.
Yeah, and then he got to a very hot start. And with first 4 games, had an interception, had a bit of a cold streak, but then managed to find get an interception this past weekend in Jacksonville to make not even to make him now tied with Mr. Joseph in Detroit for the league leader in interceptions, and also ties a career high with set with as a Giant few years back.
Hmm, that's an interesting stat. So yeah, g- good job, Xavier. I hope you do good things in the second half.
Same here, because again, in the NFL in interceptions, and also he's gonna may have a little competition in his division because we also have Mr. Andrew Van Ginkel of the Minnesota Vikings on this list.
Well, our second Vikings player on the list, Amir, because on the offensive side we had Sam Darnold. No, Sam, like we said before, Vikings doing really well right now.
Yeah, and he's been a big part of that as well, Mr. Van Ginkel. He, of course, came from the Dolphins, and through 7 games with the Vikings, they had their bye not too long ago. He's had 33 total tackles, 5 sacks, and not only 2 interceptions, but both of them he's taking back to the house. Most recently in London against Sam's former team, the New York Jets.
Very impressive. Two pick sixes to the house. So, yeah, I'm happy that he's on this list. And you know, it's interesting that you bring up Minnesota again, Amir. They can be contenders the second half if they keep the ball rolling and play like they've been doing. They might make it all the way.
Well, they might. I mean, again, they gotta start get back to that winning formula again. So, but either way, been equal. Glad you found yourself a home in Minneapolis. And speaking of finding yourself a home, it's we got another free agent, and this one will sound familiar. Frankie Luvu of the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, as a Panthers fan, you and me both, Amir. Frankie Luvo did some wonderful things in Carolina. I miss his presence a lot on the field, and he's done nothing but spectacular things, getting the players when 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 they need them, and bringing them down too.
Oh, you're right about that because so far in his first 8 games as a commander, he's had 49 total tackles and 4 sacks. And hopefully, this will be the year he'll finally get a Pro Bowl invitation.
Yeah, definitely. What was let short last year with Carolina, and he definitely deserved one after last year's stat for sure. I was a bit disappointed to hear that. That's disappointed. I was disappointed to see that because number one, I was able to catch most, if not all, Carolina games last year. But
Yeah, he was a bright spot in what was a forgettable year for the Panthers last season, but he's having a great time in Landover with helping the Commanders be have sole possession of first place in the NFC East. So hats off to Frankie.
yeah, and this is the uh second Commanders player on this list. One from the offense, one on defense. So Washington, they can make the playoffs for sure. Super Bowl, mm, oh, I don't think so, but hey, anything can happen.
You're right about that. I mean, no one had him getting to the playoffs this year, alone on being sole possession first place at the midway point, but they definitely look like a playoff team for sure. The Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
And speaking of teams, we're going to start with the teams that have surpassed expectations, and we'll start with the team in the NFC South, the Atlanta Falcons, 5-3, sole possession first place in the NFC South.
Well, going back to our preseason video that we did, I had the Buccaneers winning that division, but um, you know, Falcons was probably going to be my second option. I mean, I picked Tampa Bay because of the experience of Baker Mayfield and what he's done, but I'm impressed of what the Falcons have done with Kirk Cousins. But this is not about Kirk Cousins here; it's about the defensive player.
Well, it's been, I think, their offense, special teams, and their coach. Kirk Cousins came over, running the Vikings. The season ended prematurely due to an Achilles injury. Yet, um, he has shown no signs of that injury because he's had a good season up to this point. I mean, record speaks for itself. And of course, I have Drake London, Kyle Pitts, B. John Robinson, Kyle Pitts having a good season. Drake London, I think, has a case to make the Pro Bowl, and same with B. John Robinson and Raheem Morris, his second go as a head coach. So far, so good. And heck, he swept his former team this month. Preseason favorite, the Buccaneers.
Yeah, and this is about the Atlanta Falcons, not anybody in particular.
Oh well, just the whole team in general. Because again, we picked Tampa to win this division, and then who would have thought the Falcons would have swept them and have sole possession at this stage of the season?
Definitely not me. I thought Tampa Bay was going to at least win one game, if not both. And like I said, with Tampa Bay right now, you have to be saying to yourself, like we got to do better against our rivals because if we don't, we're gonna lose out.
Definitely. And if you're the Falcons, you say to yourself, we're in sole possession in the first place. Let's let's keep it that way because expectations are pretty low. Considering they had a quarterback that's had great career, just hasn't get it done in the playoffs, and also coming off an Achilles injury, and then a coach who first go round didn't work out. But I think so far the second go round is working out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, um, I forgot what Atlanta's next game is, but hey, uh, I'm really impressed to see what Atlanta has done in a short period of time of getting Kirk Cousins and adapting to him with the playbook. So let me ask you this, Amir.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Kirk Cousins is the answer for the Falcons' future? I know he's 36 years old. He's getting up there in age. Like, how long can do you think he can last?
I say I say 2 seasons. So one right now and the next season. Because I know they drafted Michael Penix this year and this past April, and again, which is another surprise. People thought he'd be many experts thought Penix might be starting by now, if not opening day. But no, Kirk Cousins has lasted always midway point, and look where he's got the Falcons at first place.
Yeah, and I'm gonna do a quick Google search on my phone here. He is, yep, 36 years old. So I just wanted to double check my age fact for our listeners. So I want to make sure I was right on that.
Mm, Yep. So moving on from Atlanta, we're going to go to Pittsburgh, where their team, they made the playoffs last year, but everyone thought the Ravens would be in first place. But no, it's the Steelers. You know,
The Steelers have been a little bit confusing. Starting out with just Justin Fields for the first 7, 8 games now, right?
it was the first 5 weeks, and then the last 2 weeks has been 3 weeks been Russell Wilson.
Oh, really? Wow, wow. Wow. The season has definitely flown by for sure, and yeah, it's something that I did not know. I mean, I knew it was some sort of number, but I didn't know it was that number. I guess you could say, but Pittsburgh looking scary good. If I'm allowed to say that.
No, I mean the record speaks for itself. I mean, I know the results early on, while they won, weren't eye popping and impressive, but 3-0 is 3-0. And Justin Fields, he got the nod due to an injury. Russell Wilson having that calf issue, but was able to get the 3 wins, but struggled in the last 2 games against Dallas and Indianapolis, and which is why they turned the reins over to Russell Wilson, who was able to won their last 2 games. And yeah, thanks to that, and the Ravens having some struggle against the Raiders and Browns, Pittsburgh's in first place. And not to mention T.J. Watt, definitely making a case for defensive player of the year.
Yeah, if I had to pick another defensive year candidate or to get that award, it would definitely be TJ Watt. I would say JJ Watt, but he's no longer in the league. I wish he was, but
Yeah, I would have made that mistake too. Jay's now with CBS, but I know he and both of us are proud of what his brothers TJ is doing so far in this season. It doesn't
yeah.
work.
hmm
And so moving down to crossing the border back to Maryland. So how far they've come. Where you talked about the Commanders thrice in this opening segment, but they've earned it.
Yeah, absolutely. The Commanders have definitely earned it. Like I said, look really good with Jaden Daniels, and oh boy, what else can you say, right? Surprise, the most improved team, the MIT. Yep, I would say so.
I would agree with that as well. Because think about it: new coach, rookie quarterback, been cellar dwellers in this division for the most part, and lo and behold, they're in first place at the midway point. And we talk about Daniels, Louvu, and but also this rushing offense has just been spectacular. I think, but and the offense in general, with Warren, Brown, and some get to the running backs thing will come to me later. But yeah, they're putting points on the board, keeping time possession. Also, their defense, like Luvu, Wagner, and company, getting to the quarterback and generating a lot of turnovers. I mean, like that pick six 2 weeks ago against the Panthers. So adds up to Washington once again.
Yeah, definitely. I can't think of the running back's name either, Amir. So maybe it'll come to one of us later in this segment.
Yep. And last but certainly not least, the entire NFC North. that's a surprise to me. I mean, I know the Lions will be in first place and then get to the Super Bowl this year, but who would have thought that an entire division would be above 500 at this point?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Dating back to our very first preseason episode that we did, I might have to look back on that, or look back at a lot of things, just in case if I said anything wrong. Maybe I can save it for another time. But yeah, it's really impressive to see all these teams above 500. Very competitive. You just love to see that if you're an NFC North fan, right?
And NFL fan in general, and their combined records, the NFC North, 21-8.
Yeah, combined, and that's that's like a basketball type start to a long 82 game season, which basketball is happening right now. So it's appropriate that I say that.
Yeah, because the NBA season just tipped off last week, if my
Too long.
memory serves right.
I think I think it's been a good week and a half, 2 weeks now,
Okay.
as of this recording.
Mhm. And one more thing before we move on, it's who's their running back? Brian Robinson. There it is. He's the running back for the Commanders.
Yeah,
And so, having said all that, all these guys get a well deserved. Come on, what are you doing? So yeah,
yeah,
congrats to
that's
all you guys for just good starts and hopefully good finishes 2024.
yeah, and I'm glad that you brought our friends from the Bikini Bottoms to this mid-season report.
Yep. Oh yes, because there's plenty of free cheers to pass out in this episode, especially with this segment, best performances.
Hmm. Best performance.
Mm-hmm. Recognize a few people and or players in these images.
Um, let's see. The Cardinals on there. I can probably recognize the team names, but got the Lions on there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this, oh, I remember. I see one. Saquon Barkley's on there. That's the first image to my left. Yeah, I don't want to waste any more time. So Amir, let's jump right into it.
Yeah. So the first person you see on your screen is Saquon Barkley. So you know, of course, he spent his first 3 years in the league with the Giants, but in this past off season, they didn't give him his contract, and he said, "You know what? I'll leave for free agency." And the Eagles said, "Hey, we got a spot for you here." And well, uh, given their his rivals, you knew he was going to have a big game, and sure enough, he did. 136 yards and a touchdown in his return to East Westford not too long ago, and yeah, every reason to be celebrating because his team also won 28 to 28 to 3. I don't know why I'm getting words out of my mouth all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's okay. But Saquon Barkley, man, smart decision by Philadelphia to get this guy off the free agent market. Has looked really good. Has really shown his full potential. He had his moments in New York, but I think this is more. There's more to come to this guy.
Definitely, because especially in this Eagles offense, which I know it's been shaky at times this year, but when they start hit their stride, they're unstoppable, and they have and Barkley's been a big part of that.
Definitely.
Right, next up, we got Jared Goff, who's leading the team that, like I said, hopefully we playing for Lombardi in New Orleans this February. And well, here's a Super Bowl MVP Warrior performance: 18 for 18 for 292 and two touchdown passes and a touchdown reception against the Seahawks back in September.
Yeah, I remember that stat, and then when I looked it up on Google, right after the game concluded, I was like, wait a minute, I'm reading that right? Am I reading that right? I'm like, sure enough, I was, and what a performance! 18 for 18, over 200 yards passing. That deserves a big thumbs up.
Definitely, and caught a touchdown pass. And since then, the Lions' offense and the team has just been on a roll. I mean, they haven't missed a beat since then.
Yeah, ever since that crushing blow in the I want to say the NFC Championship game.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, they were kind of like up and down the first 3 weeks of the season, but then after this game, that's when they really started to take off.
Yeah, they did get up. Well, going back to this current season, they did get off to a shaky start, but they're able to climb climb out of the rabbit hole for sure. So, nice recovery for sure, but they're getting they're finding ways to, not they're finding ways uh to, to have no visits to Mr. Ramsey's office.
Oh, eh, yeah, considering I know the Lions hadn't had much to cheer about for past couple decades as like the Commanders, but plenty to cheer about this year and last 2 years under Goff and Campbell. And so moving on for them, we'll talk about wide receiver not being rookie Marvin Harrison Jr., who after quiet performance in his debut, he gave the fans a show on his home debut at State Farm Stadium against the Rams.
Yeah, what a debut for sure. Uh, Sorry, I got a little sidetracked, but I bet you have more information about
I do. In fact, he had this is in the first half, 4 receptions for a buck 30 and 2 touchdowns.
that. Wow, not too shabby for sure. Not too shabby at all. I mean, pretty good. But I bet he can get better. If all things come to fruition for him.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's had. I mean, being a rookie, he's going to go through his growing pains. Again, he was basically blanked his first game in Buffalo. And then this past Sunday, they went on 100 yards in Miami. But probably not going to win Rookie of the Year honors, but definitely is going to make making an impact in that Arizona offense.
Yeah, definitely gonna be a star player for sure. I definitely need to do more research on this guy because it's kind of hard to it's hard uh follow Arizona games, you know. But hey,
Mm.
I like it.
Yep. Speaking of making an impact, last but certainly not least, Mr. Derrick Henry, 199 yards against the Bills back in early September, and I'd say all the free agent acquisitions, this has been the best one.
Yeah, I keep saying to one of my Baltimore Ravens friends, via text, like, hey man, Derrick Henry, steal of the steal of the offseason.
Without a doubt, and on the first play from scrimmage for the Ravens in that game, 87 yards to the house, and they never looked back. And Henry, if he's close to having 1,000 yards if he can at this point. So definitely a game changer for the Ravens.
Yep, I really think he can get there because Lamar is getting better, even though they lost to Cleveland this past week. But I don't think they're gonna let that happen again. But um, I like where Baltimore is going. I like where Lamar is going. I like where Derrick Henry's going in this case. So hey, if Derrick Henry can do Derrick Henry things, wearing that King Henry crown, yeah, I think there'll be happy days smiling for the Ravens.
He's starting that crown again. He's actually leading the NFL in rushing too. I might add.
Yeah, so he's definitely wearing that King Henry crown. King Henry died while drinking chocolate milk, as we say in science class.
Mm. Oh yeah, and speaking of Kings, we got a few Kings on defense, starting with the guy who was in contention to get for Defensive Player of the Year before his unfortunate injury, that being Aiden Hutchinson, who had 5.5 sacks in one game in the second week of the season against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to hear that, Amir. And he had potential, for sure. But I got nothing else to add when it comes to that. So Amir, I bet you got more stats than I can add on.
So yeah, well, he let's just pretends it's September. I know. Now the Lions offensively were getting to a bit of a slow start, but their defense did was expected to take leads. It's been kind of up and down for them. But having said all that, Hutchinson was in contention for defensive player of the year going into the season, and of course had that injury. But that 5.5 sack performance against Tampa Bay said solidifies it. And yep, he will be in contention for his injury notwithstanding.
Mm, definitely.
Anyway, moving on from him, this guy may not get defensive player of the year honors, but hopefully Pro Bowl and All Pro honors. They circle back to Mr. Frankie Louvu, who had 2.5 sacks, a fumble recovery, and an interception against the Cleveland Browns back in September.
Yeah. What a stat line against Cleveland. Cleveland. I'll say this about Cleveland real quick. I mean, I had them winning the AFC North, unfortunately, but it's not looking too good at the moment. But hey, a lot of things can change, especially at the quarterback position. But as for Frankie Luvu, again, we had him on our previous slide, and he's looking great. Coming from Carolina, so I expect him. I expect his stats rather to go up.
Yeah, and this he had a bit of a quiet start prior to this game, but since then he's just making a strong case to participate in the Pro Bowl and make the All Pro team for the first time in his career.
Yeah. So we already touched based on that earlier. So to reiterate, I definitely agree. And I hope he makes it there. He was definitely robbed from that selection last season. So keep it up, Mr. Louver, for sure.
Mm. Well, as we said, hopefully he makes it there this season. But I know someone who has made it All Pro and a Pro Bowl, being Patrick Surtain Jr. His father, Patrick Surtain Sr., he played in the NFL long ago, and again, Mr. to Junior Surtain, he had a big day against Vegas, excuse me. Yeah, it's we're showing our age here because we grew up a time when the Raiders played in Oakland. Anyway, Patrick Tane, who by the looks in the Broncos Joyride uniforms, well, on that day, had a visit from Champ Bailey, and well, he played like Champ Bailey that day, intercepting 2 passes and taking one to the house. 100 yards, as a matter of fact, in that dominating win over Las Vegas.
Yeah, what a stat line again. You know, I I think I was able to see that play, but again, I'll check it out once we're done here. But man, I got nothing else to add here. What a tremendous stat line that was. You know, has looked good for sure. So definitely.
Mhm. Yep, and also, last but certainly not least, circling back to another familiar name, Mr. T.J. Watt. And this occurred this past Monday night against, against the Giants, where had a bit of a quiet streak, didn't record any sacks after getting his 100 on Sunday night against Dallas, but past Monday night against the Giants had 2 sacks and a trifecta, strip sack and recovered the fumble.
Yeah. I think, and we brought this up in our weekly pick segment for sure. Coming out of that New York game, looked really good. I'll reiterate. defensive player of the year nominee for sure, if not the defensive player uh, uh, nom- defensive player of the year. Excuse me. Hmm.
Well, he's won it. I know once, if not, yeah, he's won it before. And he's certainly making a case of winning it again. And that performance on Monday night helped his resume. So last but certainly not least, we got to think of team performances. If we're start up in Arlington, where the Lions boat raced the Cowboys on Jones's birthday, 47-9, and I was shocked by that score.
Yeah, I definitely was too. Definitely not what I had for the Cowboys' sake. I because I think that's the largest postseason loss in the Jerry Jones era.
Well, the largest margin of score they've lost by since he became their owner back in 1989, but and then also on his birthday too. But yeah, the Lions had 492 yards of offense, had 308 yards passing, buck 84 on the ground, and they had 27 first downs and reported 3 sacks and had 2 interceptions. Actually, of course, 5 turnovers, excuse me, 3 interceptions, and of course 2 fumbles in that dominating win. And then for the next game we were to touch on is the Commanders against the Cardinals back a month earlier. Yeah, we're talking about Commanders a lot in this episode. Here's how they fared against the Cardinals back in week 4 of the season. 449 yards of offense, 233 through the air, 216 on the ground, 29 first downs, and had held the ball for 33 minutes and 22 seconds.
Yeah, I remember talking about that when it comes to I think Dallas, right?
This is Washington, Arizona.
Oh, Washington, Arizona. Sorry, but yeah, I think yep, I definitely remember that weekly picks episode that we've done before, and definitely impressive um for that to happen. So as some like we both said, they looked really good, Washington and Arizona. So I got nothing else to add when it comes to that.
Yeah, and then also part of the reason why they've had a good season, great running attack. So like I said, 233 yards and 33 minutes time of possession, which is key as the season progresses. And then next, we're going to touch on two teams that had the same results. First, Orchard Park, the Bills on Monday night, week 3 of the season. They dominated Jacksonville 47-10. And they had 388 yards total offense, 266 through the air, buck 22 on the ground. Josh Allen had 3 touchdown passes in the game. Damar Hamlin had his first career interception, and also the Bills forced a fumble and had a ball for 28 minutes and 20 seconds. And not to mention, they dominated Jacksonville after they had trouble with them the last two times in the Josh Allen era.
Yeah, that was a big day for Buffalo. Scoring wise, and did what they had to do for sure. And as for Damar Hamlin, coming off that scary injury last season, um, what a accomplishment for him to get the starting on at the beginning of the year as well.
Definitely. And then last but not least, we have another game that ended 47-10. That was on opening day in New Orleans, where the Saints basically gave the Panther fans a idea what it's going to be like for them this season. But getting to the home team, yeah, 47-10, 22 first downs. They rushed for 199, not rush. They had, what was the, yeah, 180 yards rush, excuse me, go along with 199 yards passing. But they also forced 3 turnovers on defense and really got things started when Derek Carr received to he connected on that long touchdown pass that really set the tone for that game as the Saints just dominated that game from start to finish.
Yeah, it was a different script like back at week 1 than it is at week 8, week 9. But as for this game, what else is there to say, right? Saints rolled Carolina in every state of um, imaginary. You know, scoring the points, first down, defensive schemes. is in check. So great job by New Orleans for sure.
Definitely. And then, as we always say, uh, come on, why is this thing so slow? It doesn't want to work when I want it to work. All right, here we go. You know the word. Yep, that old Third Street cheers as well. And next thing, moving on, best plays. I think the plays speak for themselves. In the Hail Mary, not this past Sunday in Washington, I'd say is definitely one of the best plays we've seen this season.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, I think I said this in the weekly pick segment that a friend texted that to me, and I thought he was like, "Oh, check this out, Washington, Washington, receiver catches the ball, Hail Mary, unbelievable." I'm like, "Yeah, right." I'm like, "Whoa, like that's actually kind of cool."
Yeah, and then again, it was kind of a meh game, but then there was only 15-12 before that pass occurred. But then Jaden Daniels, who might have rib injury going into the game, pulled off a miracle and won with Noah Brown.
Yeah, that was a big game for Jaden Jaden is it Jaden McDaniel?
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels, excuse me. I did it again, didn't I? Jaden Daniels, but yeah, coming off of that rib injury against I think he got injured in the Carolina game and Marcus Mariota took over. So that was a good recovery.
Definitely. And speaking of recovery, the Lions going into the game against Seattle, they hadn't beaten them in a long time. The offense was kind of it's stuck in the mud, but then they broke out in that Monday night game against the Seahawks, and then Joe Buck will who had that in the bingo card. St. Brown to Jared Goff for a touchdown.
Mm, definitely not on my bingo card, that's for sure. Um, I don't remember the play exactly, but the Lions in general look good. You know, like we mentioned plenty of times this episode, and if they can keep it up with that connection as well, good things will happen.
Well, definitely, and it was a reverse to was a pitch to Brown, who then did wide receiver pass to Goff, and that really helped put them up, extend their lead against Seattle, who was starting to gain momentum, but then the Lions took it right back and never and kept
Okay.
up for the rest of the game.
Yeah,
And
I think it's starting slowly coming back to me. So, yeah, but that's a good best play for sure for this season. So I would take that one.
yep, and then also going back to King Henry. I mean, again, the best free agent acquisition by hands down of 2024. And the first play for scrimmage against the Bills on the fourth week of the season, excuse me. He ran 87 yards to the house, or just buck 99, and also a receiving touchdown that night against Buffalo, and shows you why he's King Henry.
Yeah, I mean, what else can you say? Like kind of like what we said before, and MVP caliber nominee.
Yeah, it's not offensive player of the year nominee.
Yep. So I got nothing else to say about Mr. King Henry, and I made my piece a few minutes earlier in the show. So
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna get through this. I promise. So also one more Monday night
no, you're fine.
performance.
You're fine. You're fine.
All right. Thank you. This is not necessarily an offensive play. Well, it actually is because caused by an offensive player. But I never did stat line for James Conner had 50 plus yards rushing, excuse me, 100 plus yards rushing, and forced a fumble, which made a difference in their win over the, the Chargers 1 week ago.
Wow. So that's that's really good for him. Um, and who was the player again? I'm sorry.
Uh, Tahir Tart or Tate, excuse me.
Oh, Tate. Yeah, yeah, Tate. Yeah, for Los Angeles.
Yep, and it looked like he had an interception that would give his team good field position, but James Conner, who's had a not only a great career, but just the story coming back from cancer years ago, shows why he's a fighter. And so to force a fumble and give the ball back for his team.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal, and I hope the cancer doesn't come back in any shape or form for him, and I hope he continues to do great things around with his life and throughout the National Football League. Sure.
He's definitely done so in the NFL, both for the Steelers and at the moment for the Cardinals, and that play is an example of that.
Hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, speaking of defense, let's move on. Defenses, they had some big plays of the year. So first start with Cameron Taylor Brett with that one-handed interception versus Kansas City back in week 2, and I heard this over the radio while I was doing the deliveries, and he said this would be play of the year. I'm like, well, when we see the tape first, and sure enough, I saw it and I said, yep, guy was right.
Yep. And when I was able to see this on Red Zone, I believe I'm pretty sure I saw this on Red Zone. Um, yeah. Well, what a play! I mean, catches it with one hand off balance. What else can you say? I mean, I think I described it really good. I think hopefully.
No, perfectly.
Oh, yeah. Well, put me in the commentary booth then.
Yeah, maybe get Troy Aikman a run for his money, or what's his name, Tony Romo.
Hey, 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 that's not too shabby. I'll take those odds, and I'll take those names.
Yep. Anywho, but speaking of, well, Troy Aikman, he was in the building for this play on next to Cameron Taylor Brett, as we mentioned before, with Mr. Watt once again. I mean, trifecta or sack, fumble, recovery. No, enough said.
Now, you explain. Hey, we should commentate a game, Amir, right now. Put us in the booth, Fox. Sign us up. So that was summed up perfectly.
Yeah. And also, speaking of Fox, this play you see here, Mr. Sertan, that was on Fox. I mean, 2 interceptions, got to switchers with legend Champ Bailey, and then, oh yeah, take an interception one 100 yards the other way to really change the game for Denver.
Hmm. Definitely. Denver has looked super good, like we said before.
Yeah,
And
and as you
I want to,
mentioned, they're 5-3.
yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised for them to sneak into the postseason as well for the first time in a long time. Because looking at these, I actually have a stat here if I can pull it up real fast if I can find it. But aha, here it is. So since their Super Bowl 50 victory victory 8 years ago, they have a record of 56-82. 56-82. And number of starting quarterbacks is 13.
Well, hopefully Bo Nix is lucky number 14 because he's so far so good for him.
Yep, and that was before the Carolina Panthers and Denver Broncos game kicked off, or was that during the game? I think it was during the game, and I meant this, and I think I did not send you this for some reason. It's a good thing I have it saved, and I took a picture of it.
Hey, better late than never. I mean, it's fitting they bring it up against your game against the Panthers, given that they played in the Super Bowl. That was 9 years ago. Hard to believe.
Yeah, it's going to be 9 years ago, right? June?
Uh, yeah. Oh, yes. This February.
Yep. Oh man, time flies.
Oh yeah, and speaking of time flies, I mean, I know Seahawks were they beat Denver in the Super Bowl a decade ago, but as for the current Seahawks and this play occurred in the loss, Rashawn Jenkins returning fumble up 102 yards the other way against against the Giants. I think occurred on the same day as Sertan's pick six.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Seattle, right, has looked really good as well. I mean, the record hasn't shown it, but hey, Seattle's a pretty solid team as well.
Yeah, it says 5 minutes. A lot. They should extend the time. Can I extend the time on this darn thing? Hmm, hold on. Well, anyway, as I get that situated, I don't know why this thing doesn't. Well, yeah, I know they, you know, tiled off the last few weeks, but Mayshawn Jinx with that fumble return, that was a big play for the Seahawks. Unfortunately, it was overshadowed by another play in this game. What is going on? I cannot in meeting. I think it should let me extend it, but anyway, any rate, but yeah, hats off to them. So again, another get back here. Sorry for being a little discombobulated here, folks. Here we go. All right, I should have had this, but anyway, try to move this, get these segments along. So we got games of the year, and I think these four games right here are hands down the best. The opening day, see Chiefs Ravens, great finish, albeit controversial depending on where you stand.
Yeah, it was definitely controversial for sure with the referee calls. I do remember. I do remember the outcome of this game for the most part. Um, but hey, exciting nonetheless. But I want to take a deep dive in a game that I actually was able to pay attention for the most part to, and that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons. Here,
Yep, and that's the one that's right next to it with Cordero to Hodge. He scored that game-winning touchdown overtime, and why Atlanta is in sole possession of first place in the NFC South. And everyone thought it was going to be the Buccaneers walking out of there with the win, but now it was the Atlanta.
yeah, I thought so too, and to have the wide receiver, I think it was a wide receiver that didn't play a single snap all day, made the game winning play.
No, I know he played snap. He got several snaps in that game, but 5 days
Or
earlier,
was it a
he scored the first touchdown of the game, and then he scored the last touchdown 5 days later. And
Yep, that's right. Yep, that's what I meant to say. Like he was able to get the first one to go down and the last one.
yep, and then that same week there was a thriller at Paycor Stadium between the Ravens and Bengals, where Bengals you know had a lead against the Ravens late, but then decided to throw the ball, and then Kyle Hamilton made them pay as it allowed them to kick the game time field goal. But Cincinnati had a chance to win in overtime, but due to a bad snap, they were unable to do that, and as a result, Ravens took advantage and won the game 41-38 in again a thriller at Paycor Stadium.
Yeah. So definitely a thriller there. That being the Ravens and right the Ravens or the Bucs.
Yeah, Ravens and Bengals, and that was
Rav-
between them.
yeah, Ravens.
They scored a combined total of 79 points. And yeah, Lamar Jackson, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Derrick Henry
Yep,
has
I
put a lot of
yep
points.
I do remember that. Yep.
And speaking
Yep,
of
that
remember,
was a no. You're
I'm
fine.
sorry,
That
go
was
ahead.
a Yeah, but that was a highly poor game between two rivals for sure, and I thought 1 minute that the Bengals were gonna get it, the Ravens were gonna get it, and now the Ravens were able to pull something not for sure. So I definitely remember the remembrance of that game is definitely.
Definitely. And then last, certainly not least, this game I'm predicted will be a game of the week nominee, and sure enough, it played out that way. Lions Vikings, again, Detroit had the big lead, then Minnesota came back, and then this one the Vikings had won the game were going to win the game. Jake Bates um, came onto the field and silenced the U.S. Bank Stadium.
Yeah, I I remember watching this game on Red Zone and seeing like the back and forth affair and like we said during our weekly pick segment, like what a game. Sure.
Definitely. And hopefully this thing does not expire anytime soon. Let me extend the meeting. I believe it does. But do I see
But
that
folks,
notification?
let's take a quick timeout here and we'll get things situated right on the other side.
Yeah. 'Cause we still have one more segment. Don't forget about the special needs. There we go. Before it's letting me extend the meeting. I'm
Wait,
seeing the what's up?
did we skip a segment on here or
Not yet. It's got one more segment. Hope we can get it in. But
oh I thought we
special
skipped one.
no. It's just the special teams. We gotta get to them real quick.
Okay. Well, if you're able to get the extended meeting figured out, we can continue, right?
Yeah. Well, so far no notification, but until a notification pops up, let's get right into it. Can't be about the special teams, so let's make it quick and special. Special. How funny is that? So of course, you haven't realized they kickoff rules changed, got updated this past off season. People were up in arms about it, but you know what? The special teams have been special this year. I will say.
Agreed. You know, I at first I didn't like the new NFL rule that took place over the off season, but hey, it actually makes sense where you say, hey, you got your team has a better chance of probably getting yards off a kickoff return rather than just doing touchback at the touchback. And I have to give Roger Goodell his flowers of thinking of this idea.
Yeah, and also DJ Dallas and Charlie Jones would agree because first game of the season, or I wouldn't say first game, opening day, DJ Dallas took a kick up about 96 yards to the house. So one week in, we have a kickoff return for, for a score under the new rule.
Yeah, and I remember seeing those kickoff returns being made, and at first I thought like man, oh man, this is great. You know, it's good. It's good to have another way to score points, but it can be done in many different ways, especially here.
Yep, and as for Charlie Jones, well, he did it on the first play for the scrimmage against the Browns not too long ago, 100 yards to the house, and so we have again halfway more for the season, kickoff return on the new rules, and one of the first games in week one, and then opening kickoff on in week seven on the new kickoff rules. So how about that? So hats off to Charlie and DJ. I don't know why my brain does not want the words coming out of my mouth again.
Yeah, yeah. My brain is starting to fizzle down too, Amir. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't worry about it.
Yep. So anyway, keeping with the kicking game, Khalif Raymond this past Sunday had a punt return for a touchdown, 70 yards to the house. So big part of the reason why the Lions dominated the Titans. And then over in London, Parker Washington took a punt return to the house. So we've had big so opening day, opening kickoff, London, indoors, where have you. We've had return games that's been it's been nothing but special this year.
Yeah. So that's another playoff player. Player. That's that's done great things, and think about the teams too on this list in general. You know, that's something to cherish. Throughout the season so far.
Yeah, especially Jacksonville, given they're starting in Arizona, who's good. And we talked about Arizona a good number of times in this episode. So yeah, still good.
Yep, I'm good. I'm
Okay,
sorry, folks, but I'm hanging in. I'm hanging in there, but I'm doing good. Doing good.
all right.
But yeah,
Yeah, and so sticking with the special teams one, we got some also block punts and field goals and PATs. And let's see, Mr. Rodney McLeod. I know you had one against your former team not too long ago in Philadelphia to go on back 50 yards to the house. Really keep the Browns in that game, considering that their offense at that point was listless, but the defense special teams always kept them in games in the early portion of the season.
yeah. Special teams. The special teams has been really good for Philadelphia as well, and especially for all of these, man. Like I keep saying, I sound like a broken record, but it's important for these guys to get something out there, and they're doing a good job of that. Thinking of other ways to get stuff done.
Definitely. And then speaking of the Eagles' good special teams, I know Kilo Ringo returned a block PAT for 2 points in Tampa Bay 2 weeks prior. While it was a losing effort, it was exciting play nonetheless. I mean, heck,
Yeah,
Tom Brady was singing his praises during the return. And then
yeah, and
let's
definitely, I do remember that being seeing that on my screen or my television screen rather, and just to see that was spectacular. Just to give him the effort, despite in a losing effort of that.
Yep. And then also Mr. Bryce Ford Wheaton, his block came in a winning effort, not a winning effort, but clinched the game for the Giants because Seattle was going for the game tying field goal, but then his team was able to block the kick and he took the other way to the house. So the Giants scored upset win over the Seahawks at Lumen Field back earlier earlier this month.
That's something that I totally forgot about. Sure, and that being the Giants. I know I'm being a little draggy right now. So
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that game was. People thought Seattle was going to win outright, so did we. But then Giants, had one of their not so fast type of games, and their special
yeah,
teams came through for them on that day. And
yep, definitely.
speaking of special teams coming through, I know the Bears' offense was shaky during the first part of the season, but their special teams was not, and they were trailing big early against the Titans in their first game of the season, but Jonathan Owens, you see right there, he recovered a blocked punt for a touchdown, and that was sparked that comeback, and part of the reason why the Bears are now 4-3 on the season, despite what happened on Sunday in Landover, Maryland.
Yeah, yeah. That was a big reason why the Panthers, the the Bears are 4-3 because of that. Like you said, Amir, and I would definitely full heartedly agree on that.
Yep. And before we wrap up our first part of the segment up, we got to get to the kickers because again, they're people too, as they say in Rich Eisen's show. So first start with Mr. Austin Seibert. Started the season, was on the couch at home. Then midway through the week, gets a call for the Commanders. And what does he do? Kick not one, not two, how about 7 field goals, including the game winner against against the Giants.
Yeah, that was for Washington to kick so many field goals in that type of game. That's pretty surreal or pretty unreal.
Yeah, they hadn't quite hadn't quite clicked on offensively yet, but again, their kicker saved them that day, and well, he's still on the team, and that's the reason why they're 6-2. And also,
Yeah,
speaking of going on the subject of kickers, so Chad Ryland, he was originally drafted by the Patriots, things didn't work out there, but then he goes to the Cardinals, and why does he done kick three walk-off field goals for him? 49ers,
Yeah.
Chargers, and past Sunday against the Dolphins.
hmm And we brought that up in our weekly pick segment earlier this week, and what Arizona, definitely find ways to get their special teams into range.
Oh, definitely, and part of the reason why they're in first place in the NFC West, excuse me, so I'll say North. And also for speaking of game-winning field goals, Young Wei Koo, he's been one of the best Falcon players of recent memory. He had three field goals back in September against the Saints, including a 56-yard field goal to beat them in regulation. So hats off to him, and also Tyree Fairbairn. He hit the walk-off 59-yard field goal against the Bills and was the Stephon Diggs revenge game that but he sold the show and was able to not only win that game but also don't forget Texas now have a half game lead over the Bills as a result, result of that game. So hats off to him.
Isn't it the Stephon Diggs hear me, out for the season?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, he did injure his AC tear his ACL this past Sunday against the Colts, but don't know how. Hopefully, I think Houston don't know how. There's a big blow for the Houston offense, but getting back to Kari Fairbairn, I mean, 59-yard field goal to win it in regulation, not an easy deal, but he pulled it off.
Yeah, that's something to keep in mind too for Houston for the rest of the year because we didn't. I totally forgot to bring up that injury in our weekly pick segment review. Um, so yeah, it's gonna be a tough blow for a veteran like Stephon Diggs to not be out there, but we shall see.
Yep. But in a way, to special teams, people say, why are they there? Well, heck, they help you win games and tournament and win games. And look what up. And sure, it doesn't matter if the rules change or who's who's doing it. They come through. And as we always say on here, yep. So all these guys deserve three cheers. And so a lot of surprises, a lot of familiar names in this first segment. In the next segment, we've seen a lot of familiar names once again, but they're not doing so well so far. Can they turn around? Well, we'll see. So stay tuned, folks.
You're listening to Double Header. Be sure to like and subscribe.
Welcome back to our second segment. So we talk about players and teams that have surpassed expectations. Now we move on to teams that and players who have not. So unfortunately, might have spoiled it a little bit, but I recognize a lot of faces on this list, Keenan. And
Yeah, let's just get this out of the way now. Let's just go one by one. Bryce Young, what can you
yeah,
say?
yep. His numbers speak for itself. 2 touchdowns, 5 picks, got benched, and yeah, Panther fans have seen enough of him.
Yeah. Well, real quick, He's starting later this week against I don't even
Saints.
remember the Saints. Yep. Um, I expect him to play a little bit better, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
Nope. And Panthers, I wouldn't. I don't think you're going to be using that fifth year option on him, Mr. Bryce Young.
Um, Fifth year option. How would that work?
Like extend him and extend his contract, bring him back, and what have you. But I don't think they're ever did. That's going to happen.
Yeah, so he could be traded as soon as next year.
Yeah, I'd say next year. He'll still be a Panther this in 2025. For how long we don't know, but 2024, I think the writing's unfortunately on the wall. Once you've been a Panther fans.
Yeah, but we still got a whole season to go. Maybe he can turn the ship around.
Maybe, but I know someone who can. Mr. Travis Kelsey. Finally got your found the end zone, but prior to that, it was like, what's wrong with Travis Kelsey?
Is it the Taylor Swift rumors floating around? Is it the podcast that he's doing with his brother? I don't know.
I don't know either, but Singing had 90 yards and a touchdown in Vegas this past weekend. I hope that's a sign of things to come, as in Travis Old is back, but
I sure hope so.
so do I. And speaking of receivers, Mr. Jalen Waddle, you look very confused, and so am I. You have yet to find the end zone this year.
Yeah, struggling Miami Dolphins with that. 2-5. Not looking too hot. Tua out had that concussion earlier in the season. How to mix the musical chairs at quarterback.
Yeah, musical chairs at quarterback did not help his numbers. Did not help his numbers, but also just you figured he would have reached the end at least probably 3 times by now, but he has a goose egg in his touchdown stat sheet. And
Hmm.
mm, and last but not least, Mr. Devin Singletary for the Giants signed that big money from Houston, but looks like Tyron Trace is going to be the leading rusher for the Giants at season's end.
Yeah, Singletary has not shown anything really. I haven't seen any stats that really jumped out me positive wise. So if you're the Giants right now, I think it's time to maybe perhaps move on from Singletary if you guys are not gonna contend.
Uh, yeah, I don't doesn't look like he's going to be back in the New York or Giants uniform in 2025. And but don't worry, Devin, you're not the. You're lucky you have some neighbors in East Weatherford who haven't lived up to preseason height. Mr. Hassan Reddick, I heard you made it to the field finally, but your stat line had goose eggs.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Hassan Reddick, uh, you want to come back to Carolina?
You have a spot open. No, the situation here is not much better as it is in East Weatherford.
Yeah, but hey, if you want to put up some numbers, feel free. I'm just saying.
Well, speaking of, well, feel free to put up numbers. Well, his teammate Sauce Gardner, he's been putting up numbers, but they're not all pro numbers, as in giving up touchdown passes. And yeah, that performance at Gillette Stadium this weekend, past Sunday, that was not Pro Bowl or All Pro worthy, Mr. Gardner.
No, definitely not. And we brought him up in our hip hip hooray segments and Bill You Stink segment for sure. Amir, and I definitely remember doing that earlier this week. But as for Mr. Garner, it's a thumbs down for me.
And I, same here, and all the New York Jets fans and media alike. And don't worry, Miss Sauce, you're going to be hearing from our friends from Bikini Bottom shortly, because move on, Mr. Petey Payne. You were saying you want to have 10 sacks this season. Well, so far you only have 1.5. So we've got a lot of season we played, but I'm expecting at least 5 at this point, sir. What's going on?
Yeah, very low numbers. I don't know what it is. Distractions from coaching, distractions from personal life. I don't know what it could be. He can play better than this. Amir, you know this.
I do, and I do know you missed a game with an injury, but expecting a lot more from you, Mr. Payne. Considering that you were expected to have end the season with double digits. Still pull it off. So long road to do it, but we'll see. As for long road, Mr. Zimmer, you're brought back to lead the Cowboys to help them get to a Super Bowl, and unfortunately, your run defense can't stop anybody.
No, no. If you're what team again? I'm sorry,
Mike Zimmer.
Mike Zimmer of Dallas. Uh, not looking too hot, sir.
Nope, and I'd say it's not looking too hot for anyone with Dallas, for that matter, because you were said you're all in, yet you're 3-4, and it looks like it's going to be another year where there won't be a Super Bowl parade for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean they looked good to start off, but for the last 3 to 4 weeks have been like a roller coaster.
Yeah, I heard they're a second half team in the regular season, but you got a long way. If you guys want to host the playoff game, you got a got a lot of competition in the NFC East. Say your buddies in Landover and Philadelphia.
Yeah, and Washington, like we said in the first half of the show, I mean, they look scary good, if not really good, if not
Oh
great.
yeah, no doubt about that. And now speaking of Super Bowl, the Super Bowl runner-up Niners. Yeah, you've definitely been on a roller coaster ride. That just you look dominant one week, but can't close the game out the next. It's like what's going on in Santa Clara?
I just think having Christian McCaffrey not not being part of the team has really hurt San Francisco. I think that's part of their identity, kind of like what Christian McCaffrey was in Carolina.
Well, I'd say his absence is not the problem. They haven't been able to close out games. I mean, he lost to Arizona, Minnesota, and Kansas City in rather close games that they should have won, and said they didn't win them. And as a result, they're 4-4 instead of say 6-2 or maybe 7-1.
Yeah, and I picked these guys to go to the Super Bowl along with Kansas City to be a rematch of of uh, of this coming Super Bowl and New Orleans. Going back to our preseason predictions, and I might have mentioned it in a like once or twice in a weekly prediction segment. I'm pretty sure of that, but I'm just gonna put this on the table for right now for this midseason report episode. San Francisco, you don't look you don't look too good, and as for Kansas City, you look good. So what gives?
Well, for the Chiefs, you got some competition from Denver and LA, but Vegas, yeah, Mr. Antonio Pierce, your seat is getting warm out there in Vegas.
Yeah. So if you're Vegas right now, I would start thinking of another plan for next year. I don't think it's gonna be all sunshine sunshine and rainbows for the second half. I hate to say that.
No, it's unfortunately the Raider fans have been used to it, but it doesn't look like that cycle that's come to an end anytime soon this season. And last but certainly not least, Dolphins Jets. You were supposed to compete with the Bills for AFC East supremacy, and oh yeah, you guys have 4 wins altogether, and the Bills are basically are all alone in first place. Dolphins, you
And
got
they
an
have
excuse with. Oh, sorry.
no, you're fine. And they have double the wins by themselves. Think about that.
Yeah, the Dolphins, we can kind of give you have a cop out because Tua got hurt, but the Jets, you do not have the three because Aaron Rodgers is back, yet you're doing worse with him under center than you were with Zach Wilson a year ago a, a year ago at this time.
Yeah, and that's frustrating because I like Aaron Rodgers and I think he's a great quarterback. I mean, sure, he's not 30 years old like he once was, but I think he's still got that arm.
Well, he has the arm, but unfortunately, that Jets dysfunction just can't doesn't want to leave this franchise. I mean, look at Hassan Reddick. He held out, and their defense has regressed. And oh yeah, they fired their coach 5 games in into the season, and it hasn't worked out with Mr. Ulrich, who took over for Robert Sala. So, having said all that, all you guys on this slide deserve a well earned a. Oh, you stink! Oh yeah,
Yeah.
let's just move on. This is but there's even more bad news. Worse performances? What? Well, the
Let's just
quarterback
get this out
play.
of the way. Uh,
Oh, Bryce, I see you on here again, and if I'm not mistaken, this led you getting benched because you only passed for 84 yards, and that's not going to win you games or even put points on the board. But you're not alone because on that same day in Lambeau Field, your fellow draft mate, Anthony Richardson, who also is going to just had some time on the bench. He threw 2 picks against the Packers in a narrow loss, but yeah, not been for those picks. Colts, Colts could have won that game. I don't know what's going on in my speech. And for Daniel Jones, well, it wasn't apparent already. Your time in East Weatherford is running out, and yeah, that performance against the Eagles taking 6 sacks did not help matters. And another 2023 draftee, Will Levis. Yeah, good start, but yeah, the what we saw against the Colts, ironically, yeah, 95 yards passing. Yeah, that's not going to get you cheers from the Music City.
Now, by going back to our first picture here with Bryce Young and company. I mean, again, what else? What else is there to say, right? I mean, struggle after struggle after struggle. I I really hate to say this, but I think Bryce Young has to go. I'm sorry. I believe in him, but now I'm like, no, I just don't. And I really believe that. I After looking at what happened last week, what happened in week one. I mean, it's not 100% his fault, but he needs to do some self reflection. As for Will Levis, 95 yards. No, that's not going to cut it at all.
And also from Mr. Richardson, he did one better for
Yeah, him
Bryce and
too.
Will Levis. You checked out of
Yeah,
the game, and which is why you're on the bench for foreseeable future. And I don't think your time in Indianapolis is going to be. It's not for the long run either. So I think it's fans are calling for about to run you out of town as well.
yeah. And as for Anthony Richardson, that makes sense that Joe Flacco is starting this week. Because the Colts did well with Flacco, got some wins, got some help, got some experience. Richardson still pretty young, still a pretty solid quarterback, and learn from Joe Flacco. So maybe that tip can be turned around with Richardson probably getting more assistance.
Well, yeah, but yeah, the quarterback play in these 4 cities, yeah, not a lot left to be desired, but not what they were expecting coming into the season. Speaking of
Mhm.
not what we expected, let's move on to defense. Oh, Mr. Sauce Gardner, Hassan Reddick, we meet again. Oh, that's right. You haven't been playing up to preseason expectations. Especially you, Mr. Reddick, who held out, finally got on the field and showed nothing. And Mr. Gardner, yeah, you're not, the Jets are not the 85 Bears. So we ripped you up before. But so yeah, yours, you guys who will solidify your positions on this list. As for Mr. Davis White and Eddie Jackson, yeah, Mr. White, not a good day in the desert, getting carved up by a rookie in his second game, no less, and the first quarter too. And Mr. Jackson, you don't have any interceptions this year. Could have had two on Sunday, but you dropped them.
Yeah. I've noticed there's been a lot of drop passes. Really, not from this guy, but from many players actually.
Yeah, and Eddie Jackson, were you and the Ravens defense supposed to be good this year, and the defense has been their trademark, but I haven't seen it. And your teammate right here reflects that, given what that performance on Sunday in Cleveland was not Super Bowl worthy by any stretch of the imagination.
No, definitely not at all. Definitely. And oh, I see another familiar face. Is that Jerry Jones? I see.
Oh yeah, Mr. Jones. Yeah, we didn't forgot about you, sir. Yeah, you said we're all in. We're all in Dallas. Yeah. No, you're not. You're 3-4, and you didn't do much to improve your offense. You got King Henry. He said it. He said, "Hey, Dallas, give me a call. I'm up. I'm available. I want to play for big for Big D." But you didn't give him a call. And all your defense can't stop the run, and your offense has been erratic at best.
Yeah, it's just been worst performances on this slide. I definitely deserves a "boo you stink," and I know it's coming to me, and I sorry I spoiled the surprise for anyone that doesn't really know about that. But anyway,
Oh
Jerry
no, no,
Richards,
no. No, you're
not Jerry
fine.
Richards. Yep, and Jerry Jones. Excuse me, I said Jerry Richards, not Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones. Um, not good, sir. Not good, especially that big blowout that you guys had a few weeks ago. Going all in, making sure that none of this would have happened. Oh, it happened. Not in the best way possible. That is.
Oh yeah, and that was not a good birthday celebration either. Oh, speaking of celebrations, hey Saints, how was Sean Payton's return to New Orleans? Oh, that it went good for Sean Payton, considering he's now wearing orange and blue. As for his old team, yeah, 33 points, gave up over 100 yards rushing, 10 points. Spencer Rattler, he's no Drew Brees or even Derek Carr for that matter. And Mr. Allen, his replacement, somehow has a job in New Orleans. I don't know how that's possible, but it is.
Yeah, it's not gonna last long. If the Saints somehow lose to okay, I'll just say this right now. If the Saints lose to Carolina this coming weekend, right? I think Dennis Allen is out.
I don't think he makes the team bus.
Yeah, he won't even see the Louisiana Stadium.
Nope. And also, last but not least, the Seahawks special teams led by Mr. Jack Joe Harbaugh, who's related to Jack and Jim and John Harbaugh. Yeah, that was not a good showing at the office against the Giants on a blocked field goal, or your unit allowing a blocked field goal be returned for a touchdown.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Uh, his his special teams unit allowed a touchdown against the Giants played in their week 5 meeting.
Oh, wait,
Excuse me, it's Jay Harbaugh, I should say.
Jay Harbaugh. I'm so confused. Sorry.
Jay Harbaugh is the special teams coordinator of the Seahawks.
Oh, because of that block punt or block field goal.
Yes.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know what to say about that, but it shouldn't happen in those circumstances, right? Because it just shouldn't really.
Nope. And part of the reason why your team is now 4-4, and you and the rest of the people on this list get this nomination. Our friends from Krusty Krab, you know what? You know the drill.
Oh, you stink!
Oh yeah. But don't worry, we got you. We'll call you back one last time. We have one more segment. Worst plays. Oh, yeah, this should be fun. Mr. Jalen Nager, why are you holding your head? Oh, right, you had a touchdown in your hand and you fumbled it through the end zone. Yeah, that's you have reason to hold your helmet, sir.
Oh, you had one job. Hold on to the ball.
Or firmly grasp it.
Firmly grasp it in your hand.
Yep. Which your friend Mr. Tier Tate yeah could use some lessons from Patrick Starr as well because he couldn't firmly grasp it in his hands either, leading to James Conner stealing no stealing the show from him. So yeah, Mr. Tate and Mr. Naylor, yeah, not a good day out in the night out in at State Farm Stadium. Oh yeah, Jake would State Farm could help you guys out either. So
Yeah. Well, too bad for Squidward that he couldn't even grip onto the neck because of his bandage and because of his jellyfish's injury.
Jalen and Tahir had were healthy for this game, so I'm not sure what happened other than lack of concentration.
Lack of concentration. Well, definitely need some meditation after that one.
Well, more like they were going to be embarrassed to see the film the next day. Like, and I know Charger fans didn't like that. Well, then again,
Well,
it's just
I'm
worst plays.
well,
So
I'm talking about yeah. Sorry, but I'm saying meditation because he needs to relax, take a deep breath, all that kind of.
oh yeah. And speaking of being embarrassed to watch the film, Mr. Sauce Gardner, you got the trifecta and worst performances. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Enough said about you. Yeah, you know what's coming, sir. Yeah, it's not a hip hip hooray. I know that much. Oh, but you're not
Well,
alone. I'm sorry.
no, you're fine. But well, Gardner has been on honestly most of, if not all, these categories, right?
Yep.
Well, we remind our listening audience or viewing audience what has gone wrong.
Well, he's given up 3 touchdowns this season, including one against Tennessee, and had an awful showing against the Patriots this past Sunday, where he gave up two big plays, which cost the Jets the game and ultimately their season, which has fallen off the rails.
Well, that makes sense to me that Gardner has not shown or not lived up to expectations rather. So
Yep, and also not living up to expectations. Mr. Will Levis, that back that I don't know what pass that was against the Jets. Ironically enough, yeah, it didn't work.
no, it did not. And Will Levis, you're 1-6 for a reason, and I don't think it's gonna get any better for you guys. I'm sorry to say that.
No, it is not. And well, speaking of, I don't know, weird formations and plays inside the red zone. Hey, Giants, this formation is this past Monday against the Steelers. What was that?
Yeah, like I said earlier in the weekly pick segment, I don't think I've ever seen that formation before, and it's kind of weird to even look at, really.
Yeah, and it didn't work for the Giants. But here's a formation that we've seen, we've been accustomed to seeing in the last 2 seasons. The Philly tush push, which the Eagles should have used against the Falcons, and they but they did against the Saints. But with under 10 seconds to go in the first half, Nick
Yeah,
Sirianni,
that was all the way back at week number 2 or 3, right? Early in the season, right?
week 3.
Yeah, week 3. And when I saw that, I'm like, what is Nick Sirianni doing? The first half, just take the knee and go to the locker room, or do a simple run play.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Nick Sirianni ended up in Jaguar Nine's dumb decisions list twice for the second time in 5 days. But I'd say things have worked out for him. But the same can't be said for Mr. Tyreek Stevenson. Yeah, what what a way to celebrate with, I don't know, 2 seconds to go in the game.
2 sec. Hang on, where is it?
Yeah, right here.
Oh, that's the Washington Hail Mary. Yeah, I see that now. I mean, like I said before, again, I'll reiterate. What was the guy thinking? Just taunting the fans and saying like, "Hey, like we got this," and not doing their job. I might add you.
Yeah, you and your defense didn't do your job because you allowed the receiver to get behind you, and when he turned around, he had the football and looked at the clock. Oops, time's up. Commanders win, Bears lose.
Well, I don't know where he's at now, but he's definitely getting the business talk from the Chicago Bears team.
And the media too. And speaking of the business talk, hey Panthers, I know Jamar Chase is like all pro receiver, but might want to tackle him. Do what you're paid to do.
Yeah, I was not happy to see that. Four Panthers defenders, four Panthers defenders, and I went on a rant during our weekly pick segment a few weeks ago. And Amir, you remember this very vividly when I said that. Unacceptable, unacceptable.
Unacceptable indeed. And look at him in this picture. It's like, hey, you're paid to tackle the guy, not stand there and watch. Again,
Oh,
can't tackle anybody.
well, you're 1-7 for a reason, and there's one example right there on at the bottom right of your screen.
Yep, and we'll wrap this up. Mr. Greg Zerline. I wonder why the Jets are 2-6. Oh yeah, you missed I don't know, extra points and field goals and still on the roster, albeit the injured list, but Jet fans are saying we want you off the team.
Yeah, and again, we brought this up during our weekly pick segment earlier this week, and it's just unbelievable what this guy has gone through. And I mean, is it unfortunate? Sure. I mean, are the Jets happy that he's not playing? I guess, but you don't want to see anybody injured.
No, and I don't know what injury you have, but you won't be returning to the field anytime soon, at least in the Jets uniform. As for Mr. Jair Franklin and Mr. Naylor, well, Franklin, I know you had to do some improvising for your team because they didn't have enough people on the field against the Bears, and led to some confusion from the cold sideline. Luckily, it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but yeah, that was not a good look for a guy who, by the way, was leading in times recording leading NFL in tackles. But yeah, that's what happens to special teams that has a miscommunication and who's supposed to be on the field. As for Mr. Naylor, still have a job, but I don't think he'll be returning any punts anytime soon, given the one that you muffed at Lambeau Field back in week 4, or week 2, excuse me, week 3. Yeah, week 3, and we're returning for a touchdown. But like Franklin, team bailed you out. But I can't say the same for the Bengals holder, Mister whose name is escaping me at the moment. Yeah, you muffed the snap and couldn't get it down, and as a result, Ryan Raku, excuse me, that's her name. Yeah, your kicker Evan McPherson missed the kick, and it cost your team the game. So yeah, not a good day for special teams in this category, but hmm, what can you do?
No, I think you just said it best to me. You know, and when it came to these guys in general, you know, what can you say rather than what our friends at the bikini bottom would say at the Krusty Krab?
Boo! You stink!
Just unreal. I mean, hopefully these guys can turn around eventually, but it's disappointing.
It is, but that's the season NFL. I mean, you get a lot of surprises and a lot of disappointment, but some said mid-season, a lot can change, a lot of ground to make up, and we've seen some teams get off the hot starts and cold finishes, and then vice versa. And we'll see how this 2024 season ends up. But hopefully, for the guys on this list, things they keep it up or things turn around.
Yep, absolutely.
Having said all that, it was a longer episode than usual. The mid-season report is in. Thanks for tuning in, folks. As the team would say, also Instagram. Uh, also we have Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, and also our website. And anything else out? Oh yeah, don't forget to comment down below and like and subscribe. Helps our support the channel. But other than that, this episode's finally in the books. Hope you stay stuck it out like we did, and hopefully see you on the next episode. Thanks for stopping by.
Yep, and as we always say, we will catch you guys next time. And yep, as like we always say, for myself, have a good one, folks.
Have a good one.